Hello and welcome to our end of financial year live session with Mukesh from NexZen Accounting. He's the CEO and he's currently in India where it's nice and warm, and we are all here in Sunshine Coast where it's freezing. We already know him in the Sparks community because he's worked with us a little bit and has done a wonderful live previously that was very informative. We've had two sessions actually, and he was talking as well about his work as a fulfillment coach, and what he brings to the table there is also amazing. So if you haven't found anything on Mukesh outside of accounting, have a look because there's some great stuff there. He's got a book, which was amazing as well. He just shares so much value, and we love having Mukesh here to help us, because once a year everybody's like, oh, what do I do with my tax? And Mukesh does that all year round. He knows his ins and outs, so we're very lucky to have him. We're going to jump straight into questions, and I've got them written down today because getting this session to stream has been quite a thing, and I don't feel like I should be messing around with my tabs, so I'm going old school. Welcome, Mukesh.
Thank you, Kim. Very excited to be here. Thank you.
Awesome. I guess let's jump straight in from the start. Where we're starting is questions about deductions and expenses. Can I claim fuel and travel expenses even if the participant reimburses me per kilometre?
Yeah, as a business owner, if you're running a business, so then we should record the reimbursement received from client as an income, because that's the money received. And then we claim the actual expenses, that what we spend on fuel and registration as a deductions. So we need to make sure that we keep the logbook for travel records and receipts, and this is how we can claim it properly. So yeah. So income in income section, receives, and expenses as a deductions. Yes.
Yeah. So travel allowances and kilometres allowance, that comes into taxable income. It's not as an allowance, so it's being taxed, right? So
yeah,
it's
in a business way, it's different than an employee way. So I'll be answering most of the questions which is relevant to support provider business owners.
Yep.
So because as when you look at how the tax treatment happens at employees tax return, it's a little bit different when you look at how they're treated in the business scenario.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about business today, and that includes sole traders.
Sole traders.
One person business. If you're just working on your own ABN, that's what we're talking about today. Fantastic.
Yeah. We're focusing on that. Yeah.
Can I claim meals that I'm eating while I have supporting a participant? So I'm out with my participant that I'm helping, and I go and buy a hamburger. Can I claim that?
See, generally, meals are considered as a personal expense and not tax deductible, even if you are having them while supporting a participant, because the ATO sees that you'll be eating anyways. So unless the meal is when you go out overnight trip or overtime for work, or it's directly related to business, for example, like if you are catering for an event, only then it would be kind of a claimable. But otherwise, most of the time, if we are out there, we're grabbing our own lunch at lunchtime, that is not deductible.
Yep. So I think that's been cleared up over the years. So yeah, don't claim it. Don't claim your Maccas. Can I claim expenses like meet and greets, fuel, or coffee, even if the client didn't proceed with my services?
Yeah, those are basically more like when you're meeting them, is increasing your income. You're getting new client, whether it signs up or not, still you're doing those activities which are aligned with increasing your income, for example. So those expenses will be tax deductible. And again, the ATO would like to see the records that you're meeting clients for this purpose, and which you make, as a NDIS industry, we are good in making notes, and ATO loves that.
Yeah. So yeah, that's good. I think that's fair enough, because you're putting all this effort into attracting clients from a purely business perspective, and so yeah, that's an expense that you wouldn't have gone to otherwise, right?
Yes, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Are uniforms, training courses, and subscriptions to platforms like Sparks Academy tax deductible?
Most of these are tax deductible as they are related directly to increasing income, directly related with your business and the NDIS support worker. For example, uniform, yes, the requirements are there's a logo, it's a uniform, it's not a generic black t-shirt or white t-shirt, for example. Yes, training courses are also deductible when they are again relevant to your NDIS business. They upgrade your skills and like subscription to Sparks Academy, that's also tax deductible. Any like those platforms, any courses like DSC courses. So yeah, so they are deductible, and again, keep the receipts and like so you can claim those as a business expense.
Working for myself, hypothetically, I might not have a uniform, but I might wear a black t-shirt and some leggings that I buy from Kmart. Can I claim those on tax?
No, ATO normally wants that, if there's any, otherwise you can use those black clothes anywhere else. So yeah, ATO's rules are a bit strict on that, and I understand that. So that's why I tell my client, if just have your logo, it doesn't cost too much, and it changes the whole thing, because then then it's deductible.
Yep, good to know. How do phone and internet deductions work in terms of relating to
because of our phone and internet, using as a business, again, thinking on that scenario that you're using most of the phone and internet for business, whether it's emails, checking emails, calling clients, doing reports, notes, so much nowadays that we do on phone, and internet is a part of now our life anyway. So yeah, they are deductible. And in case we all know that if we have maybe, if you don't have a specific phone for personal life and a business life, and we're using the same number, for example, and most do, so then it's good to proportionate that. My like a little percentage of that is personal use and major is business use. So just making those notes that it's proportionate is a good idea.
You might
most
say,
of the
60% of the time this is work calls and work stuff, so I'm going to claim 60% of my mobile plan at tax time. I sort of try and tell people when they're starting out as independents, like get a separate phone number, because in a very short period of time you're going to regret your personal number being given out to clients and customers, because you're going to want to be able to switch off at some point. And then, I mean, that keeps it really simple. 100% of your second plan is claimable as a business expense,
And in future, it's good to you'll be able to delegate as well. That someone, you hire an EA or someone in the admin, and they can then manage your phone while you're in meeting or with clients and all those things. So it's a good idea that way. Then you're keeping your personal messages, personal life separate that way as well.
100%. Can I claim a computer, tablet, or phone that I use to take shift notes?
If you, like, for example, buy a computer, tablet or a phone because these help you with the work. So again, like similar to phone, the computer is a gadget. It's a tool that you use to run your business, to increase your income, and to deliver services for your clients. So they are claimable depending on, again, if you have one computer, if it's a all business, then 100% claimable. But if you're using that, again, watching Netflix at home, same, and it's a good idea to then proportionate that. I'm using the same computer at work as well at home. So then it's a good idea to proportionate. Very on the same ATO recommends that just even it's a little percentage that you use it for business and for private. So just claim accordingly.
Yeah, sure. Okay. I think that's fair enough. And
one more point here is very, very relevant for this time of the year. I'll like to share. When you're a small business owner, we've been very fortunate that ATU has, given us that we could instantly write off up to $20,000 per device. Even any equipment, for example, whether it's a computer, tablet, or any kind of business equipment. car as well. But now after 30th of June, like New Year starting from 1st of July, we will only be able to claim $1,000 per asset. So it's a big change.
Wow.
So people who want to invest in the assets, like for example, the new computer, new tablets,
Yep.
new phone, or like any vehicle, as you mentioned, it's 30th June is cut-off date. Do it now before it's too late. Then you only will be able to claim $1,000 per asset maximum from next year.
Okay. That's very good advice. So $20,000 up until the 30th of June, and then after that, back to $1,000 per item. So
Yep.
yeah, if you've got cash in your business and you're needing to reduce your tax, and you also need new odds and ends, now's the time to do it. Still got a couple of weeks. Nice.
Excellent.
If I bought sensory items that I use with several participants, can I claim those?
Yeah, again, sensory items, therapy items, those weighted blankets and other resources, they are all again treated as a tools or to do your service as an NDA support worker. And yeah, so they will be tax deductible.
Yep.
And even if you use it them for multiple participants, but just make sure that you claim them only once.
Mm-hmm.
And have the receipts, and yeah, so it's just be mindful of those like how you making notes and having receipts properly when you buy them.
Yep. Awesome. If I purchased something for a participant, like tickets or personal items, and wasn't reimbursed, can I claim it?
See, there's a fine line there. It's an interesting question. If tickets and personal items are part of, say, participants' NDIS funded goals, for example, community participation, social engagement, or skill building, and these activity align with their NDIS plan goals when you look at their plan, and you were delivering like as a support, you're going there, and they need you there. So in this case, you'll be able to claim it as a business expense because it's a part of NDIS funded service. Right. So yeah, in that case, it will be. If you are going, like, again, I'm just sharing here. If you're going like having your own entertainment, just going for a movie, just making that, let's do that, but it's not part of really NDIS funded goals for the participant, then it won't be. It's just your own kind of a analysis, or your own that you would say that why is it claimable or why not. From an ATO perspective, if it is directly linked with NDIS goals, then it will be deductible.
Yeah, so you got to do your own sort of self audit and be honest with yourself. So if the participant had goals to join in a community activity and join a team, like a bowling team, I know bowling, but and you paid out of pocket to attend that with the participant, you could claim that on tax because that's specifically something that was in their plan and with their goals. But if you're just having an idea to go to Cirque du Soleil, for example, probably not.
Yeah, very truly said. Yeah, and when you look at ATO, our salient tax system is based on our own what do you call that? Our own self analysis that way. That ATO will say do the right thing, and they can audit you, and then they can fine you if you're not doing the right thing by the law. And this is why our role as an accountant and tax agent is to educate, like you do, like we're doing right now, that this is the right thing to do. And when we stick with rules and the good intentions, then ATO is good. It's very generous system from that perspective. Yeah.
So it's good when your accountant cracks the whip, like, all right, cross the line. He's just trying to help me.
That's all we're here for.
All right. About receipts and record keeping. Do I need to keep every receipt, and what exactly does the ATO require as proof?
See, ATO expects the receipts for everything we want to claim as a tax deductions, for example. And it doesn't have to be on paper. It can be nowadays. You can have a photo, digital copy. and that's valid there as well. For smaller expense under $10, you might not always get a receipt, but again, go with that good intention that you just make a note on that expense, and then you can claim tax deduction for that. And normally, your receipts or tax invoice that show supplier name, date of purchase, description of what did you buy, amount, etc. If you don't have a receipt, then bank, if you spend through, again, bank or credit card, then you can make a note if it's under that amount, for example.
Yeah.
And then you're going to keep,
This sort of will tie a little bit into what we spoke about while we were figuring out the streaming, but the app that we're bringing forward, SparkScribe, which is like a millimeter away from being flicked out to our members. I'm so sorry, members, you've waited so patiently, but we've actually implemented invoicing in there as well. So it's coming out as a full suite rather than just a notes app. But in there, there's a space for documents to upload, and there's also space for notes. So if you tapped your card with a client, for example, on a particular shift, would it be enough to say, paid for XYZ, which was $12.50 on this shift with this client, see credit card? Is that enough for the ATO if you didn't get a physical receipt?
Yeah, for as long as it doesn't become a whole system that there's no receipt at all. Yeah, occasionally when you don't have, at least you've done the good thing that you made some notes there.
Yep.
And for small amount, and then ATO is happy with that. It's okay because they understand the challenges at small business end. Yeah.
Okay, good to know. Are digital receipts like emails, photos, or app screenshots accepted, or do they need to be physical? No, they can be digital, right?
Yeah, digital can be. Nowadays, even digitals are better now, because otherwise, I remember the time when we had to, make a photocopy and then
the old receipt paper that would go like disappear, be like, oh, where did my receipt go? Yep.
Yeah, it's better now, and you can, there's no fire risk anymore. You just keep them on different places, hard drives, and it's safer now.
Yeah, for sure, it's so much easier. Is there an app or a system that you recommend to track your expenses throughout the year?
See, like you mentioned now, with your new app coming, that could be like one of those app. Then we have Xero and QuickBooks, those accounting software who already have the system. So together you can use any app which works for you, and you can keep the receipts there, and you can track your expenses and how we're going. As a business, also, it's a good idea to reconcile either yourself or through bookkeeper or through through accounting companies like us, that we make sure that your accounts are reconciled, so that you could have a tap on that, whether you're making money or losing money and how much. Especially at a small business end, we get paid after we have paid everything. It's different than when we are employee. So especially when we are starting, very important to know that are we getting enough for us, because sometimes in business world, what happens is we have the tax dues at the end of the year, and so many other things, insurances happen at different time, and we feel we haven't got enough cash that time, compared to when we're employee, we're getting check every week, for example.
That's it. Yeah, you're getting the money in, there's not a lot going out, but when you're a business owner, there's always something going out. And I think tracking those expenses is important. What I've found is that small business owners are reluctant to subscribe, single person or two people, they're reluctant to subscribe to Xero or MYOB because they don't want to pay. Fair enough. I could not live without it because of the reconcile feature. I know when I send out the invoices and the money starts coming in, I can go click, 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 click. That all matches and I know where I'm at. But if you're not going to do that, maybe you're keeping an Excel spreadsheet or something. You probably need to have at least a bookkeeper, and probably an accountant would help me sleep at night if I wasn't managing it myself. And and I have an accountant too, obviously. So we have in our app, we have a function that you can transmit your reports to your bookkeeper and or accountant. And it just goes off in an Excel spreadsheet. You can choose the dates like from the 1st of June to the 30th of June or all year. And that'll send everything, all your shifts, all your clients, all your invoices, the hours you did, what you billed, and that'll go across to your accountant and bookkeeper. And then they have that. And that's kind of a workaround if you're not quite wanting to go to zero. That can work, but I would go to zero. That's just me.
Yeah. And when we're starting business, also it's a mindset, it's a culture that you build around yourself, even when you are only one person in the business. But then you know that it'll grow, especially with the NDIS industry. I've seen that we grow and get more people with us, helping us as a as an employee, as a contractor. So yeah, it's good to be in that culture that then you're not just doing that bookkeeping and then you're making sure that it's a part of your business, even if you want to do it yourself.
Yeah, that's right. Because it gives you the space to grow quickly if you need to. If suddenly you feel like, oh my gosh, I need to bring another person on to help me with this, then you're not scrambling between going to shifts, doing the bookkeeping, managing someone else's payroll. Like it can get really tricky really fast. So if you start out with a system like Xero MYOB, it's all there waiting to be built on for you. And if you never use it, you unsubscribe. It's fine.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay. About invoicing and tax requirements. Is it mandatory to have an ABN to lodge a tax return as a support worker?
If you're working as an independent support worker, meaning you set your own hours, invoice clients directly, and aren't employing, you're not employee. It means that you need a ABN to run your own business. It will be considered as a business, even you are a small one-man contract, like a kind of a part-time, but you're dealing with your clients directly, and that way you need ABN.
Yep.
Yeah, and without ABN,
you can't do any, and it's free to get ABNs. I see there's all these websites that are like ABN for $99, but it's actually free. Go directly to the government website and you can get one like that, super quick and free. Don't pay $99. Some people have.
And again, before that, even it's a good idea to we have one for any person who wants to start their own business. Even everyone starts from somewhere.
Yep.
Whether you start, and most Australia, when you're saying not more than 90% businesses are small businesses, and we all started by ourselves. When we left the employment, whether we did it for 1 year or 2 years, whatever the duration is, but we started with ourselves first, and we all been there. And then now being an accountant for last 13 years, it's a good idea to have a conversation with the accountant that what do you want to achieve through business? Is it going to be just yourself, or is it going to be a bigger in future? What's your win look like, for example? Where do you want to take this business to? It happens or doesn't happen, that's a different question. But what do you want? And once we are clear with that purpose and goal, then it's with accountant you can with that advice whether it should be a sole trader or should be any other structure. So that conversation is very important, and every accountant nowadays works proactively, hopefully, that they talk about, and they're not just focusing on all the tax time. It's more about when you want to start, they're working with you, and they can take you from start to where you want to take your business to.
Absolutely. We see all the time come up in the groups, what do I need to go out on my own? I've been with a business for 5 years and I want to be an independent. And people always say, oh, you just need an ABN and insurance and whatever else. And I always try and jump in and let people know, here are the things that you need. However, invest some time with an accountant, because you'll save yourself heartache and trouble down the road, or you'll have what you were thinking confirmed for you. Great. And then you know where you're at. It's so worth it to spend some time, book in with an accountant, go and sit down and figure out what you want, where you hope to go. And then they can give you a bit of a structure to follow. And decide whether you're going to be a PTY or whether you're going to be a sole trader, or even maybe the business isn't viable, and you can discuss that too. Like it's so many things can come out of a session with an accountant. Yeah, I caution people don't start a business without an accountant.
Yeah, and with NDS it's even more important because I've seen so many clients, they started as one entity, and then they had to register for NDIS, kind of a registration for the business. So it's different industry compared to if you're opening up any other kind of a cafe or kind of consulting services, for example. NDIS is different industry, different requirement from that perspective. It's very important to see kind of ahead now, because then those changes are costly. Not only financially, it takes it costs you, but also it's that peace of mind we talk about. How do I now transition from one business to other? Then all those capital gain things and changing the structure and all those things come in play. Therefore it is very important to do the basics of those when you start the business. What's the basic kind of a step-by-step process? Go through that. It's a good to invest that your time then now, so that you are aware of those things as you run the business.
Yeah, agree. Yeah, yep. It's priceless. So yeah, if you're watching and you need an accountant firm who is very familiar with NDIS and all things NDIS, then go and see Mukesh at NexZen. You guys work with people around the country, so it doesn't matter if you're not here in Queensland. Give them a call; they know what they're doing.
And we don't charge for this consultation. We made this commitment to ourselves that when someone wants to start their business, we spend hour, 2 hour, 3 hour, whatever needed in that first consultation. So that this is our kind of a contribution to the industry, to NDIS industry specifically, that so people could start with confidence. People don't feel like, oh, I didn't know that. I wish I had a chat with the accountant, and we don't even charge for that. So there's no reason to have your question answered, to discuss. And this is the way we feel that we made some contribution at our end.
Yeah, that's very generous. So there's literally no excuse to not get the correct information because Mukesh and his team will talk to you for free when you're getting started. So yeah, jump in there, I say. That's very generous. Okay. If I only issue a few invoices during the year, do I still need to declare them?
Yes, as a sole trader, you are required to declare all income you made through your business. The answer is yes.
Just everything. Okay.
Yeah.
What happens if I miss the tax return deadline?
And it happens to the best of us, isn't it? Yeah. If you miss the tax return, ATO again can and might charge us a late fee, some interest if you owe the tax. So definitely, they have all the rights. But if there's a genuine reason, like we for some reason we couldn't be on time once, and then ATO listens to that as well, we make as a tax agent, we make those calls to ATO, apologize and request the remit if there's any fine. But it's the best way that we lodge on time. And again, as a accountant, as a tax agent, we get more time if you're doing it yourself. For example, the dates are say 31st of October. But when you do it with tax agent, we get to mid-May. So we already get so much more time compared to when you lodge it yourself. And ATO understands that you may miss at your end. But then they've already granted us so much more time. So then go to your accountant, but go before 31st of October, because we have to make sure we declare ourselves as your accountant before 31st of October. Otherwise, then it will be considered late at your end.
Okay, so if you find yourself not able to get your tax done before October and it's marching on towards Halloween, jump in and call Mukesh so that you can avoid those issues with the ATO, because accountants get longer to process and submit your tax return. So that's really good to know. Yeah, awesome. If I had more than one source of income, for example, a PAYG job and a sole trader, so I'm working with my own private client and I also work for a company, how do I report that?
See, when you're a sole trader, then your tax return is still this one tax return. And there are different sections in the tax return where you report your personal income, like employment income, and there's a separate section for your business income and expenses. And there's multiple other fields as well. So you got to provide all the income and expenses through one tax return when you're a sole trader. However, when you then have different entities, for example, a trust company, etc., then those tax returns, like the business tax return, are separate, and then your personal separate. In this case, as the question you asked, if it is a sole trader specifically, then it will be one tax return with different sections for income and expenses will go there. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Well, that's pretty easy. Keep it all in one place. If you're working under an ABN, you can put it all together. Fantastic.
Yeah.
And if you are a company, then you should know that you need to lodge a company tax return, but that's a separate conversation. All right, about planning.
And one more thing here I would add on that, even if you like when you're doing as a sole trader, it's a good idea to still, as we touched earlier as well, that create a profit and loss and balance sheet separately, even though it's a simple tax return. Even though it's, when I say simple, like when you're in business and then we can see, oh, we have to add this information, that it becomes a little tricky. Like all the depreciation, you still need to, even though it's the same tax return, but the fields are still that have that complexity that you need to calculate properly and provide the information. So it's a good idea to have that accounting software or some kind of, as you mentioned, a simple spreadsheet at least, so where you can see what the money coming in, going out, if you bought any asset, is there any depreciation, all those things you are required when you are a business owner, whether you are a small sole trader. When I say, like, it's still considered as a business because you have an ABN. So the rules apply similarly.
Yeah. So record keeping is very important. Keep it all together. Don't just think you can fudge it at the end of the year. At least have something to hand to the accountant in a big manila folder with receipts falling out. Like, help me. Okay. What are the most common tax mistakes that support workers make that you've seen?
Like you just mentioned, that one of the biggest one is that not keeping good record. Like people, maybe they use personal bank account sometime and then bought something, and then because now there's no receipt, then how would we, it's difficult to then prove it as evidence that, okay, that where did you spend those, $700, for example, because it's bought on personal bank account, and how would you prove it now? For example, it's a good idea to use, first of all, the business bank account to make any of like that kind of purchases. Number two, have those receipts. It's good to, and it's other benefits as well, because you got a receipt, you can warranties and all those things. You can get this replaced if you have and it's one time thing. Just take a picture. It's there with you for forever. Then
yeah. If you don't have a business bank account, my gosh, get a business bank account. Don't use your personal bank account. What a mess.
And another one I see, which we touched earlier as well, that not setting money aside for tax the time.
Yes.
Because when we are employee, the employer is taking the tax out of our weekly pay, and it becomes their responsibility. But we are not used to, when we're in your business, we just because our expenses, when we started business, there's so many expenses you got to do. We don't think that way, but it's business. We spend, and even we want to spend wisely, but then there's always something to buy to increase, to enhance the client experience sometime. And so much, we all know that in small business, everything just, it feels like, I'm spending all the time.
Yes.
So, and we all been there. And then we look at, oh, I don't have enough for now tax time. It happens to all of us, or kind of best of us, I would say, most of us, that we are not that organized, especially when we are a small business and don't have enough resources, and you got to replace your income, as well as then if you have someone now join your team, and you got to pay them first, and before you take something for you, for example, at the end of the week. So it's very important, keep the tax money in a different bank account. We recommend that. These 3 bank accounts we mentioned last time, that you got to have one business trading account, then you have one this tax super GST saving account, and third account I recommend is these days that first online shopping account. Anything you do by subscription, or wherever, anywhere you have to give your, like, a kind of a card number. I would always recommend have a separate bank account where you don't keep more money. Just keep it under your own risk threshold. Like, for example, for some it's 1,000, some could be 10,000, depending on the kind of expenses you have. If something goes wrong, because that information's out there, at least you know that your main money is protected in different bank accounts. So
great advice, and very easy to look back and see what were all my subscriptions this year, all my expenses sitting right there. That's a great idea. I don't do that, but I should. I've got all the other business accounts, but not that one.
Very important these days. Very important.
Oh, so many subscriptions to change over. Thank you. That's a good tip. Is there a way to check in advance whether I'll owe money to the ATO or receive a refund?
Yeah, these days we meet our clients at tax planning like this time, like from April to even now. We've already met most of our clients already for before this end of financial year. So we share, what's their income, what's the expenses, what the tax look like. That's a part of tax planning we do. Whether you're making money or not, at least knowing this picture before June 30 helps. Like, as we said, our clients know that it's like the immediate write-off $20,000. That feature is going out now. It won't be available after June 30. So this is a good idea to, again, catch up with the accountant. Like I would recommend by May end, so that you have enough time in June to make those actions, like those, if you have to spend anything, if you have to pay extra super in advance, or pay more prepayments, whatever that action items advised by your accountant or agreed with between you and the accountant. This is a time which will help you save money, of course, number 2, but have peace of mind that, I'm working proactively. I knew already, said what will be my tax. You organize the money for that. And if it's a refund, it's great, so that you can plan your holiday.
Yeah, exactly. That's perfect.
Best of all worlds. Yeah,
I'm on board. Is there a minimum income threshold that requires me to lodge a tax return as a sole trader? I think we answered that further up, but
again, I can add here that as a sole trader, it's a difference between employee and a sole trader. Again, when you're employee, you have like kind of if your income is less than $18,200 a year, you could just say not necessary, you don't have enough income. There's a separate form there. But when you are a business owner, you gotta complete a tax return properly. That what was your income, what were your expenses. So that's the difference between employee and a business owner here. So as a sole trader, yes, you gotta complete the tax return, tell ATO in that tax return form that what was your income and expenses. Even if you have made $1 income, but you gotta still share that $1. Another good thing is by doing this exercise, especially people who are low income, that they must have spent money.
Yeah.
It's a good idea to claim those, even though you're making losses. Then those losses will be then carrying forward next year, so that they will offset. Then when you create, when you have more income next year, so you're not paying tax on those profits because you had losses last year, for example. It's a good idea to declare properly.
So even if you didn't make a lot of money, even if you didn't have many clients and you spent heaps advertising and wrapping your car in your brand and all of that, you need to report that so that next year, when you do make heaps of money, I've got that 25,000 that I spent doing my car up and I didn't make any money. That's now a deduction for this tax year. I think a lot of people don't realize that when they go into business. Yeah.
Yeah, and this is why, even as I said, the tax planning time, it's a good idea to spend 10 minutes, even on phone, if you can't go face-to-face meeting, or Zoom is still a good idea these days. Have a conversation that, okay, I made this loss, and how do I get, how can I use this better in next year, for example? It's good to have that conversation for your own information, because like, as long as we are running the business, we will be lodging, or even not by ourselves, but still will be involved in lodging our taxes, like to understand the money. How can I make it better for me in a tax perspective, or in a business managing perspective, for example.
Yeah. Any time you spend with an accountant is worth it, I think. Okay. Is it worth hiring an accountant, or can I do it myself through MyGov? I think everything we've said before this answers that question.
Yeah, still, people, if you are doing like if you only having a employment income, it's still it's easier to get and through MyGov. Because it's only your employment income. It's simple that way. Even though I know when I did my first tax return in 2006, that was pretty hard for me as well. I had only a casual job of $2,000 for the whole year, because I started in I think May, and by June I had this much income. I was still not sure that Tom was scared of the tax return. I'm talking now in 2006, and I understand that people start from there. Not everyone enjoys learning accounting and tax, and I acknowledge that. I appreciate that, right? In fact, but yeah, if you and this is why we're here for. If you want a little advice and you want to do yourself, we're here. We can guide you. But as soon as you are in business world, it's a good idea, again, to have someone on board and just have the conversation. What's the best way? And just run the business accordingly, so that it's not you're not overwhelmed, you're not burnt out. At least this is one end where you can have a peace of mind, because there's so many professionals there who know it and can help you out. And ATO is very generous about that. It's we don't have to be kind of this is one area of your business which can be a cool and peace of mind kind of area, not where there's so much else happening in our life that we get burned out.
So much. When you're a sole trader of small business, you wear so many hats. If you can hand the accounting hat to the accountant, do it, because you're also doing marketing and recruiting and HR and like all the other things. So and accounting is it's not my favorite. I'll put it that way. I don't love it. But I do as much as I can, because I want to know what's happening in my business, but I also recognize my limitations and hand the rest over to the accountants, the experts.
Because I've always now shared this as a business owner. Again, there are, as you mentioned, there are 18 hats we got to wear every day, whether you are a small business or one-man show. Still we're doing multiple hats. And one role we forget when we are a business owner in doing all those hats, like I want to create my own website, I have to, because so much, don't have enough cash or all those reasons, right? And one thing we miss is the leadership. One thing we miss is to look after ourselves, because we are also part of that team. Even when we are one-man show, but who's one to look after us?
Yeah.
Right. So when you're starting, it's very important, and when you grow, it becomes even more important now, because you got to look after your team, and this is a primary role, that you got to look after your team, and the team looks after your client. And yes, for some meetings, for many meetings, you're also with the client, but then it's a dual role. You got to look after both. You can't just not do this role. You can leave other roles, but if we leave this, as I said, the team fulfillment or your own fulfillment for long, then we feel of why we started the business. Why, I just want to shut down. I don't want to be in this world. This happens. I've got so many stories around that, and this is why I said the very first conversation, that when you go into the business, what you aim for, and look for that these things will happen. The sickness will happen. You may not be able to shut down as if you were employee, just shut down. You may need to pick up a client's call even then, or leave something that, that I'm here, I'll join you. All those things, which otherwise we don't even, when we are working for someone, we don't think those things.
Think about it. Yeah.
And it's life changes, and it changes for good. I enjoy being small business. It's a different feeling, that when we look after clients, we help them. We help them the way we can, compared to, when we were working for someone. Sometimes we not able to do what we want to do completely. And one of the reasons why we started business.
Yeah, that's right. I think there's a lot of fulfillment that comes from having your own business, because you have the control. But at the same time, if you can outsource some things and take it off your plate, do it, because that frees you up to do more of the thing that you started the business for, doing the stuff that you love. But for people just starting out at the very beginning, all of that stuff comes from a good foundation and talking about what you want your business to look like. And someone like Mukesh can then give you some advice about some things to put in place as you go through. And it's so very worth the time to go.
Seeing life as from a zoom out view. Like I use the GPS analogy. You can have both views. Is very important to live a good life. A zoom out view and a zoom in view. Zoom out view is looking at, okay, what are my goals, and how, then break them into different milestones, like small milestones. And then just when you run business that way proactively, it's a different feeling, a different mindset. And we enjoy it that way. compared to oh my god, I need to do this that kind of a mindset.
One crisis to the next. I think that's all our questions, which have been incredible, and I want to try and find some time to put these into a document like we talked about before we started, and I'll do that this week, hopefully. Sorry, Anna. I'll do that this week, because this is really valuable. Like, I found this just a great refresher, and I think people will really enjoy watching this. So thank you, Mukesh. I just wanted to talk very quickly about two apps that we've built at Sparks, which is the first one is Sparks Hub. It's at sparkshub.app, and basically that's it's a service agreement builder. So you can put your details in. Everything's there for you in terms of policies and stuff that you would have in a service agreement, which is editable. You can change it. It'll draw your business name into the service agreement. We've got the price lines already in there, so you just need to choose. It'll add everything up for you and give you the amount, and you can do a digital signature. So this is an app that you can take on your iPad or phone to the client. Here's the service agreement that we've produced. Sign it here, email it to them straight away, done. So that's at sparkshub.app, and that is $49 a year flat. That's just something we've put together because I see it so many times in the groups, and even here in the office we have our service agreements coming from our software, but they're not always perfect. So now we can use this tool, and you can do as many service agreements as you like. You do 10,000 if you want to, and the data isn't saved. So as soon as you've got the PDF, the data's gone. It's not sitting anywhere, so it's completely safe. So that's one. The second app is SparkScribe at SparkScribe.ai, SparkScribe. So not a double S in the middle. SparkScribe.ai, and that's our shift note keeping app, invoicing app. That hopefully will be released this afternoon. As soon as I finish here, I'm straight back to finish the coding debugging. I have literally been working 16 hours a day for the last 2 weeks, getting all the functionality perfect in it. So we're very excited about that. And that's going to be a tool just for independent support workers, because no one else has bothered to build anything for independent support workers. There's plenty of platforms out there, but all of them require a 5-person login, and people don't want that if they're just working for themselves. It's too expensive. So $15 a month or $150 a year subscription, and you get unlimited clients, unlimited notes, unlimited everything. There's no limits on it. AI assistance to turn your notes into a really beautiful layout, and you can export those, and it just does everything you want it to do in one app. So very excited about that. And that's my spiel.
Beautiful. Perfect. Very excited.
Yeah, me too. Finally, when I have it out, I'll send you a log so you can have a look, Mukesh. I would value your feedback.
Thank you very much. No, I would love to. All
right. Thank you so much for making time. I know that it's earlier in India than it is here. I really appreciate all the time that you give us when we ask you. It's it's always fantastic.
Excited to be here. Thank you very much.
All right. Thanks, Mukesh. We'll leave it there. Okay, I've stopped.